In this episode, I'm going to talk about how to install windows in your cargo trailer. The windows that I chose are made by Interstate, and they are 12 inches by 30 inches. I'll try to break down exactly how these windows get installed using CAD and some of the video footage I collected while I was building the trailer. I chose windows specifically to fit in between the vertical studs in the walls so that I didn't have to cut any of them. Still, though, some framing needed to be done to support the window. The way that these windows work is that they are sandwiched together with a retaining ring on the inside and the window on the outside, sandwiching the walls, holding it in place. The clamp is held to the window frame with these stainless steel sheet metal screws that screw into a lip around the window. It's easier to do than it looks, and I don't have footage of it, but you'll figure it out. Alright, so I need to make a frame out of tube steel that's going to sit in between the studs. I'll be welding this together, though you could do this with self-tapping screws if you don't have access to a welder. So I would make a montage, but whatever, that's hard. So here's some footage I'm gathering. This is chop saws are pretty cool. Also, belt sanders are pretty neat. Can you guys guess why I had to buy this clamp? Make sure to wire brush all those welds. I am not a professional welder, so it brings me great shame to show you this MIG weld. Alright, so you weld together the square framing, and now you find the position it's going to be in. I want these windows to be as high up as possible, close to the crown stud, so that you get more light in the trailer, and it also makes it harder to look into the window. This actually caused me trouble later, which I'll get into in another video, because you can't go too high. I like using these nifty right angle magnet thingies to hold my parts in place for tacking. Alright, so I got them tacked to the W studs. A grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't. Here's my shame again. It's actually kind of difficult to weld on these W studs. I think they're 16 gauge and they're pretty thin, and I'm welding onto a thicker steel, this tube steel. So it can get too hot on the W studs. The scariest part of installing these windows was cutting into the outer skin. This was my first way of doing it, drilling holes, a bunch of holes. And actually, this is a bad way to do it. I have a better way now. Instead, I would recommend using one of these handheld Sawzall blade holders for cutting into the aluminum skin. They're really good because it gives you a lot of control, and they work really well. They cut through steel and aluminum. Cut away the rest of the window, and then file the edges down to make them smooth. This takes a lot of work. All of this also generates a whole bunch of mess. Next is installing these corner brackets. These corner brackets shown here in green support the window around all of the corners, so it keeps the outer skin from compressing and the window from jiggling around. These plastic corners are installed with number 10 self-tapping screws at an angle into the steel framing. Make sure to pre-drill these holes and just hand screw them in. The clamp ring that came with the windows is designed for standard width of walls on trailers, which is a 3/8 inch ply and a 1-inch thickness on the vertical studs. So I'm doubling the thickness of the walls, and that means that the windows I have are recessed. The recessed window portion is shown in red here in CAD. Keep in mind, I have a lot of extra work because I'm using furring strips to increase the wall thickness. Normally, if you have a trailer without that, it's a lot easier. So what I did is cut out a 3/8 inch ply wood section that's going to self-tap into the vertical studs, and then it's going to be the sandwich for the clamping ring on the window. So now you want to apply butyl tape as the sealant around the window. Make sure to have a little bit extra on the outside edge. Get a friend to help you hold the window in place. Secure the window with the clamp ring and the sheet metal screws. And that's it for the basic window installation. The windows can be opened, and there is a bug screen which can also be raised. This is helpful for passing things through the windows, like a hose or throwing crap out of it or whatever.